What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're in something very fun and very unique, the Campagna T-REX RR. This one courtesy of my friends over at OC T-REX. I want to give them a huge shout out for lending me this car to shoot today. They offer rentals as well as sales for the Campagnas, so I suggest if you're in the market for one or just looking to rent one to have some fun in, go hit them up if you're in the Orange County area. I'll link their website below and they will take care of you. Decently windy out here today, so I want to apologize in advance for that wind noise, but we'll try to do our best to limit it. Now let's jump right into the video, but before we go for a drive, let's take a look at a few things. The Campagna T-REX RR is powered by a naturally aspirated 1,441cc inline-four cylinder. It's actually the engine out of the Kawasaki Ninja ZX14R sport bike. For those of you that are familiar with motorcycles, it's water-cooled with double overhead cams, 4 valves per cylinder, and a 12.3:1 compression ratio, but we'll get into the engine and the ZX14R a little bit later in the video. Continuing on with some of those performance specs, the T-REX RR produces 208 horsepower and 116.5 pound-feet of torque, and pushing that power to its singular chain-driven rear wheel has a top speed of 144 miles per hour and will get you from 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds with an 11,000 RPM redline. Now that Kawasaki engine is married to a sequential 6-speed manual transmission with an integrated proprietary reverse gearbox, so it's essentially half car, half motorcycle, both visually and mechanically. You got the front half's a car with the steering wheel, clutch, brake, and gas pedals, and then the rear half's essentially a ZX14R with the engine, chain-driven rear wheel, and a 4x2 manifold exhaust, sequential gearbox. And in California, it's actually registered as a motorcycle, and I believe it is in most states. But yes, it is fully street legal. You are supposed to wear a helmet in the states where you're required to wear a helmet on a motorcycle, but I'd honestly recommend it anyways, because with that whole front windscreen, you don't really have anything protecting you. So you could have glasses on for pebbles and stuff, but something bigger were to fly in there, it's going to nail you right in the face. So it's definitely not a bad idea to wear a helmet. It's more comfortable and a quieter ride. Now the T-REX RR sits at a total weight of just 1,098 pounds, so it's extremely lightweight, and it's impressive that it's hardly over 1,000 pounds given the fact that the ZX14R Kawasaki sport bike weighs just under 600 pounds itself, so not even 2 ZX14Rs. For suspension, you're looking at front dual wishbone and a rear double-sided swing arm, both with fully adjustable RR5 coilovers and external reservoirs, allowing you control over compression, damping, and rebound, giving you easy adjustment ability for that optimal handling when presented with different rotor track conditions and loads. Again, that dual wishbone setup in the front is going to give you that great cornering ability paired with the double-sided swing arm in the rear, allowing for maximum traction and stability. Looking at your wheels, the T-REX RR sits on lightweight aluminum alloys, and for brakes, you're working with vented, slotted, and cross-drilled discs on all wheels, Wilwood 4-piston calipers, and braided stainless steel brake lines, in addition to the ABS, which is standard on the RRs, as well as adjustable traction control. You've also got this reinforced rigid tubular steel frame chassis and roll cage, dual LED headlights, storage beneath the hood, and these optional removable and lockable side case little saddlebags for some light cargo that might be accompanying you on your ride, giving you a total of 25 gallons storage capacity. Now lastly, for the exterior, before we check out the cockpit, this particular T-REX is finished in this beautiful chalk color. Looks a lot like the fashion gray paint to sample color Porsche offers, very historic Porsche color, but yeah, that's the kind of tone warmth that this chalk finish is giving me. I think it looks great on this, paired with that roll cage finished in the green. Would look cool in like black or white too for the chassis, but the green adds a nice amount of contrast. I think it looks good and it fits this wild little vehicle. And I believe they do have another T-REX RR in the showroom right now over at OC T-REX that's finished in Miami blue, another Porsche PTS color. Looks beautiful. Personally, I think I'd go with the chalk, just kind of fits my vibe more, but that Miami blue looks fantastic as well. And again, their website is linked below in the description if you're looking to either buy or rent one of these awesome little machines. Then we've got our fuel door down here on the passenger side, and these cool little carbon fiber steps getting in and out, not really steps, but kind of side yards, and then the headlight housings and this carbon fiber as well, really cool. And again, that little scoop up here. Now the MSRP of the Campagna T-REX RR is just over $79,000 USD. However, they're running a demo deal right now over at OC T-REX where you can get this exact one and that other Miami blue one they have on the showroom floor for a demo deal of $69,000. Now before we go ahead and hop into the cockpit, first thing to note are these awesome marine grade waterproof seats. They're a little bit reminiscent of a Pagani Huayra, I personally think. They kind of have that same aesthetic to them, and they're standard 3-point belts with optional 4-point racing harness if you're going to be using this for track applications. The RR has this beautiful quick release Sparco Alcantara steering wheel, and you do need to go ahead and pop that out to go and get into the vehicle. We'll do that in a second there, but just to get a visual on that. what it looks like with the wheel off. And then same deal, once you're back inside the car, all you do is pop that on like that. You've also probably noticed also this very aggressive seat positioning, a little bit reminiscent of a Formula car, kind of the angle of it reminds me a little bit of being in the F4 car. It's not as aggressive, your feet aren't as high, but it's certainly geared in that direction to where you're in a much more aggressive seating position. And then we got the pedal box down here, which is adjustable. These seats don't move. This actually is kind of like a cover that goes over the seats essentially. But yeah, you can't move the seats, so it's an adjustable pedal box that you can either push away if you're taller or pull towards you if you are shorter. Now to go ahead and hop in, we will just pull that wheel off again. Either hold on to it, put it on the roof, or put it in the passenger seat, and then jump in just like that. And then putting the wheel back on, same deal, just goes like that, and you are good to go. Now to your left, obviously there's nothing like you would have in a traditional car. Just got that fender over this open wheel here. And oh yeah, I didn't mention earlier that they are wrapped from factory in these hand cooks. I'm sure you could throw it on slicks too if you plan on using this on a track. I've actually even seen a conversion, I think they called it like the T-REX, where they made this a four-wheel vehicle, which was pretty cool. I'm curious to see how that would feel compared to the three-wheel. Obviously going to be very different, the mechanics of it, but I saw some footage of it on a track and it looked like it was ripping, but looks like tons of fun. Again, no door or anything there. You're just in this tub here, and then down below you on the left, that right there is our parking brake. Just like any traditional parking brake, you're gonna pull it towards you to engage it, and then hit the little button, push it away to turn it off. Pedal box down here, not a ton of room. It's very reminiscent of a track car or a little Formula car. It's why I actually wore my racing shoes today, because it's way more comfortable than if I'm always wearing my Golden Goose sneakers. A little bit clunky, wouldn't be the most fun for, you know, heel toe and clutch and downshifting and all that when you have a small narrow pedal box like this. But they feel very good. The clutch feels good. Very nice stiff braking. Throttle response is fantastic. So yeah, overall love the pedal box setup and feel of everything. Now up here, this dash will look pretty familiar to those of you who are accustomed to Kawasaki motorcycles. I love that they left the little Kawi logo in the middle there for the engine, and then they got the T-REX branding on the speedometer, and on the tack over there on the right, we have the RR branding. Again, just like the ZX14R, you've got that 11,000 RPM Redline, which is absolutely awesome. Put the key in the ignition and just put it into accessory mode for now, and that digital instrument panel is going to give you the display and menus for traction control, power delivery selection, drive modes, and some other vehicle information. Now up here is your traction control selection that you're going to choose from that menu for the amount of intervention you want, with the kind of OK button in the middle there. That is the seatbelt button, and this car yells at you if the ignition's on and the seatbelt's not plugged in or buckled in. That's going to be lit up, and the car's also going to yell at you, so just put the seatbelt on as soon as you get in if you don't want the car to yell at you. And then that R is going to light up when it's in your reverse gearing, which is down here on the left-hand side, forward, obviously for the gearbox you're going to be using when you're driving, but for that reverse gearing, as this is a sequential gearbox, much like you would have it on the bike, the ZX14R or any other motorcycle, you don't have reverse gear on it, so they've got that proprietary reverse gear that they put in the T-REX, which is very nice. It's a little finicky to get used to, but you have to you'll see in a bit when we're driving, but put the car in neutral, and then obviously for forward, if you want to use the gearbox in a traditional manner, or you pull it towards you in reverse and you'll kind of feel it click into reverse gear, and then you put it into first, but you're going to be moving backwards. And then obviously when you're done reversing, vice versa, push it forward, well, you have it neutral, and then click it back into gear, and you'll be good to go. Up here on the passenger side, you've got that kind of recessed dash, open glove compartment, and then that 12-volt power accessory for you to plug something in there, which is nice. And down below, this is the foot box for your passenger with that little footrest, which again, you could slide forward or backward, just like the foot box for the driver, depending on the height of whoever's riding in it. All right, so we've done a little walkthrough of the car. We'll do the fun part now, go for a drive. Brought the helmet here mainly to record from, because the wind and blowing around is just a little too much to wear the hat that I normally do with the camera. So my little racing setup I use gonna work pretty well with this car. So we'll go ahead, throw the helmet on, and then hop in and put the wheel on.
go ahead and fire her up now. All you're gonna do is depress the clutch, have her in neutral, and then let it rip. We're gonna have to back up anyways to get out of here, and we're in that reverse gear, so I'll show you what I was talking about. Parking brake is off, so all you're gonna do is, it's in that reverse gear, hold towards us, so you're gonna put it into first, like that, and then back on up. Same deal for going into drive. You're gonna push it away from you, like so, just like that, and you're good to go. Now, since I have the helmet on and it's a little bit noisier of a ride, not going to be doing too much yapping as I do in the other videos, so I'll just kind of shut up so you can enjoy the ride. Turns tons of heads, as you'd imagine.
Alrighty, well, we just did a little coffee run, had to slam it inside because obviously no cup holders in this thing. Although, honestly, if I owned one, you could easily mod one somewhere down here to attach to something, like a billet one. A lot of old 911s, they didn't have cup holders. I know Sleepers offers one. It's like a billet aluminum cup holder that attaches to the bottom of the seat bracket. No seat brackets here, but you could definitely rig a cup holder somewhere if you wanted to. Anyways, yeah, I had to slam the coffee inside, so a little bit different of a coffee run for today's video. But this thing is a ridiculous amount of fun. Again, just go rent one and drive one for yourself because it's hard to compare it to anything, to be honest with you. You certainly cannot compare it to like a Slingshot by Polaris or something like that, because that lacks the performance this has. This thing is a ridiculous amount of fun. Honestly, it doesn't even really feel like it's a three-wheeler. That's why I'm curious to know how the modded ones that I saw on track, how they drive with the four-wheel modification. But I would love to take one of these on a track on some slicks because very capable, very fun, nimble car. As you could probably tell though, everything is just super responsive from the steering input to the throttle. It's all just right now in this car and very precise. So that's one thing that I definitely love about it. You're not sacrificing any comfortability for performance out of this thing. Like, yeah, it's obviously not gonna feel like a Maybach inside, but it's not nearly as uncomfortable as it looks. Getting in and out is the most uncomfortable part, but if you're accustomed to driving any race cars or anything on the track, you know what I'm talking about. It's just one of the things you deal with when having a vehicle like this. But you're certainly not buying this for a Rolls-Royce like driving experience. This thing is an absurd amount of fun. Honestly though, this thing kind of reminds me of driving a Caterham track car, a little bit of Formula 4, not as much, but it's just, yeah, super nimble, responsive. As I was talking at the beginning of the video about the Kawasaki Ninja ZX14R, which this engine is derived from, straight out of that bike. I'll go ahead and cut to some clips and a little bit of info real quick about that bike, because it is kind of cool to compare the two given that they have the same powerhouse. This one obviously just in kind of a car form and the ZX in a motorcycle form. Overall, very impressed by this thing. I mean, it's genuinely more fun to drive than a lot of the supercars I'm in, which is hard to compare this to, as it technically on paper it's a motorcycle. But yeah, back to what I was saying, the ZX will cut to a little info and some clips on that bike. Alright guys, so right here we have the Kawasaki Ninja ZX14R. Now why is this relevant? Well, the engine that's in the T-Rex is the engine out of this here bike, and now in this application in the bike, it's producing 197 horsepower and 116.5 pound-feet of torque with an 11,000 RPM Redline. Now I believe this bike has some work done to it. It's got, I want to say, I think he said 220 horsepower, somewhere around there. So this is definitely upgraded. It's got some stuff done to it. And I want to give a big shout out to my buddy Jake for letting me shoot this to include in the video, because it is cool seeing the engine that's in the T-Rex is actually out of this bike. And we'll take a look at a few riding clips here in a second. But again, yeah, insane bike. I've been on a lot of motorcycles, and this thing is literally a fighter jet. You're 0 to 60 in about 2.5 seconds and 0 to 100 miles an hour in 4.8 seconds. And the top speed's electronically limited to 186 miles an hour from the factory, but this bike's capable of much more than that. You're looking at speeds around 220 or so when it's unrestricted. Again, it's kind of speculative on who's running it and the conditions, but I believe I've seen some runs in this around the 222 to 225 mile an hour range when it's not limited. But yeah, this bike is an absolute beast, and this thing is pretty massive for a sport bike. I mean, comparing it to some Ducatis like a Panigale or say a BMW S1K RR, this thing is massive. Hard to tell in the video, it doesn't do any justice, but when you see this side by side with another sport bike, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Overall though, yeah, awesome bike, and very cool to see the engine out of this in the T-Rex that we're in today. right, now that you've seen the Kawasaki ZX14R and some footage of that, we'll go ahead, hop back in the T-REX RR and get back on the road. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to bring us to the end of our video on the Campagna T-REX RR. Want to give another huge shout out to OC T-REX for lending me this vehicle to shoot today. Go hit them up if you're looking to rent or purchase one of these awesome little vehicles, and they will take care of you. Thank you guys again for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.